Hello, welcome. All right, we have a really exciting, important topic today. Something that is following up on earlier videos I've done, which I'll talk about what those were. So today we're going to be talking about the avoidant attachment style, and specifically looking at the avoidant attachment style in terms of how it shows up in dating and relationships, why it's hard for you to feel safe in relationship, why it's hard for you to get close in relationship, why it's hard to trust men and other people, and what you can do about it. So I'm really excited for our conversation today. So like I said, this is a follow-up on a conversation I already started about the anxious attachment style. So that was a few weeks ago. You can go back and find that video after we finish this one and go catch up on what that is, because this is another one of the attachment styles, okay? So tell me, who is excited to be here right now? Let me know. Hello, Ash. Hi, Brianna. How are you guys doing? You can give me some hearts. Hi. Hello, Mariah. All right, guys. So are you excited to start learning a little bit about the avoidant attachment? It's going to be really helpful for you whether or not you are identified or whether you know that you are avoidant or whether you're not, because there are going to be people in your life who are avoidant attachment style, maybe even the person that you're seeing or dating. So whether or not you have it, it's going to be useful. Okay, so as you're hopping on, I would really love to know whether you know what your attachment style is. Are you anxious? Are you avoidant? Are you fearful avoidant? Are you secure, or do you not know what you are? So let me know, what is your attachment style if you know, and if you don't, this might help you start to figure out, am I at least this one? So let me know, what are you? Hi, Fernanda. I'm excited for you to be here. Okay. So as you're letting me know, I'll come back and look. All right. So whether you're avoidant or not, it's going to be helpful for you to understand a lot of the people around you, including people that you may be dating, like I said. You have no clue, Mariah. Okay, awesome. So this might help you start to at least understand, maybe you'll know whether or not you're avoidant. Okay, so you know how opposites tend to attract? This tends to happen with the anxious attachment style and the avoidant attachment style. So whether or not you are anxious or whether you are avoidant, you most likely are attracting somebody who is the opposite of you. So it will be helpful either way. So Fernanda, anxious and avoidant. Ash Brown, used to be anxious but became avoidant after being with an avoidant. Yeah, we're going to talk about, so attachment styles can shift based on our experiences in relationship. Brianna, part anxious and some avoidance. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so who is ready to get started? So what we're going to talk about today is what avoidant attachment is, so you just have a working understanding of that, what it looks like, so then you can start to see, oh, like that's been true about previous partners, that's been true about me, what the cause is, and then some tips and solutions for if you are avoidant attachment. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Elizabeth. I am a dating and relationship coach. And what I do now really comes from my own struggle with trying to find and keep love and all of the things that I had to go through to get here. So I now have an amazing relationship with a man who I really truly feel so blessed to have in my life. And he supports my big dreams. He loves my mind. He loves my ambition. He loves that I'm always growing. And he is also ambitious, deeply caring, very consistent, kind, and he's also growing too, which is just so awesome. So we get to help each other become more of who we want to be and make our dreams reality together, which is so cool. But I wasn't always that way, and it was not always easy for me. So I was always falling for unavailable men and then not able to move on from them emotionally, so I get really attached to them, or I was choosing men who I was not in love with, and then those men wouldn't leave me and were way more in love with me than I was with them, because then I got to be in control and not feel out of control, right? So I've had my heart broken multiple times. I've been in some really not so good relationships that had like control and emotional manipulation and just were really drama filled, and they had really dramatic, traumatic endings as well. I struggled with lots of anxiety about men who I was really into, and I had no idea how to navigate that. I also struggled with the tendency to like be turned off of guys who were actually super stable and secure. So I had to figure out how to navigate that. So when I got my heart broken, the last time when I was 26, I decided that I needed to figure out why love wasn't working for me. So I saw that in all my failed relationships and experiences with dating, I was the common denominator, not all those guys. And that's when I discovered love blueprints and how mine was working against me and sabotaging me even while I was trying to find love. So I discovered how to heal my attachment wounds and reprogram my love blueprint. And as soon as I did that, that's when Eric came into the picture. Now, it was not all smooth sailing for us from the beginning, because at that time I did not have a coach like me to help navigate that whole situation. And I literally figured everything out that I do with clients now by trying and failing a lot myself in my personal life, and then getting like help from a ton of different sources and places, and then having to piece it together myself because there wasn't one place that had everything that I needed. So Eric and I struggled a lot in the beginning because I was still learning everything that I now coach my clients on, so that they don't have to struggle and make the same mistakes that I made. So now we've been together for over 3 years, and it honestly keeps getting better and better. So what you need to know is that our original love blueprint is built in childhood, and then it gets imported into our adult relationships. So usually this happens without us knowing, and then our adult relationships shape it even more, and then morph it and change it as well, right? So it has an original blueprint, and then what we go through in life kind of shapes and changes it along the way. So that was why in the beginning I was very anxious attachment. I went through a couple of relationships that were really not so great, and then my love blueprint kind of morphed, and I actually became a lot more avoidant attachment because of those experiences. So I've been on both sides. I know exactly what it's like to be on both sides. So when we're not aware of the process behind or what's going on in our love blueprint, we act out all sorts of patterns and behaviors without knowing why. And often we end up blaming ourselves or our partners, and I also did that all the time, unfairly, right? Because unresolved trauma can really limit our life in ongoing ways, really fundamental ongoing ways. And they stop you from actually ever getting to have the kind of relationship that you want, right? Because it causes all kinds of stuff to get in the way of that. So avoidant attachment is often villainized in dating literature. There are some books in particular that are not really very understanding of what it's like and what is really going on for somebody with avoidant attachment. So I want to bring some love and understanding to what it's really like to be avoidant attachment, being avoidant and anxious, having been on both sides myself. So if you are avoidant, or you actually want to understand your avoidant partner or people in your life, then this is a really useful thing to stick around for and really start to understand what's going on here. So to start off with, what is avoidant attachment? So this is an attachment style where you have a tendency to keep intimacy at arm's length or to diminish the importance of relationships, especially romantic relationships. So essentially what that means is that your attachment system is underactivated, it's shut off almost, and we'll get into why that is later on. So what that looks like then in your daily life is that you are very independent and self-reliant. You take really good care of yourself. You're very productive and creative, especially if you're given space. You can be very low maintenance. Sometimes this can result in being a bit of a workaholic. You work a lot, and you can actually sometimes come off as rather cold or standoffish, typically more of like a lone wolf type of person. So you would prefer to do things by yourself as opposed to joining others in like group projects. Like at work, you would prefer a work that was more by yourself, right? And this we'll get into why, but there's a reason for that as well. So in your past, you may have preferred or just gone along more often with like one night stands or just like no strings attached dating over long-term commitment. And you may have left a lot of broken hearts in your wake, and you're just completely not in control of why you can't commit, right? If you get into a relationship, you have trouble expressing commitment in a reliable, nourishing way. You may actually not miss people who are important in your life when they're gone, like your partner when he's gone. You might actually feel a sense of relief when he leaves initially for like work or trips or even like a divorce. You can be very left brain oriented, like very logical, analytical, factual, and not as much with the emotions. Typically very task focused, very productive. Okay, and this goes back to sort of the like very good worker, right? We run from partners who appear to be needy or dependent, and the words we might say is that's just too much. They want too much from me. They need too much from me. They need to be able to deal with themselves, that sort of thing. So what this all means is, as an avoidant attachment, you have a chronically underactivated attachment system. And so it can actually be very hard for you to handle too much intimacy. So when your nervous system is like overactivated, you're going to be using deactivating strategies, whereas an anxious attachment, if you go back and watch that video, is going to be using protest behaviors to try to get closer to their partner. With an avoidant attachment, you're going to be trying to deactivate the attachment system because it's overwhelming for you. It's too much. So what avoidants want to do is they want to move away to ensure distance when the stress of connecting is overwhelming for them. They kind of dissociate, will distract themselves with other activities and allow disconnection from other people. So for example, surfing the internet, watching TV, meditating can be a dissociating sort of thing that you might do. Yoga can be if it's all by yourself, playing computer games. And what happens is that when you kind of pull back like that, then you end up feeling calmer, but you actually are also less connected to other people and less connected to yourself. So then you're withdrawing and you're isolating, especially if maybe you're actually feeling hurt yourself or neglected or rejected. You may also have difficulty maintaining eye contact because too much eye contact can be very overstimulating to your nervous system and actually signals like a danger signal to you. So in order to keep people at a safe distance, you will, when you're with someone, you might actually be dreaming about being single again. You might be fantasizing about other people. You'll use the words like, I'm not ready to commit. You're focusing on small imperfections in your partner or pining after an ex who is not present anymore. You are pulling away when things start to get more intimate and closer, and maybe you're causing chaos or drama as a way to pull away. You may be seeing all kinds of red flags that maybe are not there, but you literally cannot tell whether or not it's a red flag because it's giving you an out. It's giving you a way to leave. And for you, you won't know that this is not a red flag. You may be choosing and falling in love with, I did this all the time, people who you have an impossible future with, so that there actually could never really be a future. You may be putting your partner down, which is again creating distance in the relationship. So some things that might be going through your head is that I know how to take care of myself better than anyone else can. I am a do-it-myself kind of person. I can do it on my own. I don't need somebody else. I thrive when I'm spending time on my own company. So like this quarantine right now is actually really awesome for you. You're actually really enjoying all this time with an unstimulated nervous system. If you upset me, then I have to be on my own to calm down. I don't calm down with you. I need to leave to calm down. I often feel that my partner's wants and needs something for me that I really cannot give. They're asking for something I don't have to give. And I'm most relaxed when there's nobody else around. I'm really low maintenance, and I prefer a partner who's really low maintenance too. When you're with a partner, you might be thinking like, I'm feeling suffocated. He's not the right one for me. I'd be better off on my own. He wants to tie me down. That's so obvious. I don't want to be tied down. He's so stupid. Again, looking for all these reasons or ways to get out. And some of the feelings that you might have that go along with this are that you feel intruded upon when someone kind of wants your time and attention. You may start to feel trapped or out of control in the relationship, pressured into something. You might start feeling distrustful, self-righteous. You could even get a little hostile. And really there's this fear of way too much intimacy. Your nervous system cannot handle that. And in addition, you might actually feel like a little bit of an outsider or an alien or an outcast as you just go through your daily life. So there are things that I know that nobody else knows about you. So these are the things that you're never going to tell anyone else, and you may not even have full conscious awareness that this is what's going on for you. But you may feel like there is something wrong with you, and that this is a source of a huge amount of shame for you. So you have this wall up then that keeps people from actually seeing this. You are just as harsh on yourself as you are harsh on everybody else in your life. And you really, really struggle with trust. So you are constantly on guard because trust was lost and you were hurt. So for me, my avoidant attachment really came to be very strong after being hurt in a relationship. You have walls up and you have guardedness to protect yourself, and you want to take them down, but you literally cannot do that on your own. Even if rationally you know that's the way, and a partner is asking you to, or there's some signs that you need to, you cannot do it. You do not know how to do it. And you so deeply crave love and intimacy, but you don't know how to trust and you don't know how to do that. So you're afraid that if people knew or saw who you really were, not at all like what you present as, that they would reject you. And so there's also this fear of rejection underneath everything. And social interaction can be so exhausting because you keep up this facade at all times, so no one gets to see what's really going on deep inside, and maybe you don't really have connection with that anyways. But if people knew that you carry so much shame about yourself and who you are, right? So these are some of the much deeper things that are underneath this attachment style. So where does it start? Those who have avoidant attachment styles were often neglected or left alone too much as children. They may have been rejected by their caretakers, or their caretakers just were not present enough. Maybe they were very busy with work and that was all, right? So, or maybe the caretakers really valued one type of activity, and they were present only for that thing, but not for all the other parts of you. So as a result, you disconnected from or put the brakes on your attachment system. You turned off your need for connection because you decided that you could not get it, and you became very self-reliant and rather disconnected. Okay, so as a child, things that you likely experienced were isolation. You were alone too much, a lack of presence, even when parents were around. They may not have been actually emotionally and mentally present with you. An absence of touch, task-based present. This is like where your dad or your mom is only there if they're teaching you something that they really care about, or it's functional or practical, but not for all the other parts of you. There may have been emotional neglect where your caretakers weren't sensitive to your emotional needs as a child. And there may have been expressive dissonance, which is where caretakers or parents' facial expressions did not match their actual emotional states, which is very confusing. There may have been disrupted engagement. So if you were very sick as a child, or a parent was very sick or maybe died, that may have caused it. There may have been literal rejection where your parents literally rejected you. Like, for example, if you were adopted, that would have been a huge, huge, huge cause for avoidant attachment to develop. So as children, if we reach out for connection and we're met with rejection or neglect, then we'll reduce our attachment-seeking behavior. So we grow up experiencing relationships as maybe negative or painful, and other people really can't be trusted to be there for you. So because childhood was so painful, typically avoidants don't really have many memories from childhood. You've completely disconnected from your past. So you might frame your childhood actually in a very positive light. I had everything I needed. I couldn't have asked for more. My parents were doing their best. And we don't actually see the neglect and pain and loneliness that was under there. It's very difficult to actually access that if you can at all, and most likely you don't connect with that. So if you were to ask an avoidant attachment, what was your childhood like? Those would be the things they would say, and they wouldn't have the memories of the neglect and the aloneness. So they'd more likely be to remember facts about childhood, like where they went to kindergarten or where they sat in the classroom, but not as much about what the emotional quality was of growing up. So these feelings of longing for attachment, they've been completely blocked out typically. Until I start to really work with a client, they don't actually know that that's there. So that's where it comes from. And there are many, many great traits that you or an anxious avoidant attachment developed, but there are also costs to living this way now. So for one, all of your strategies to protect yourself and keep people at bay, maintain emotional distance, are guaranteed to mean that you will never find a deeply fulfilling relationship, which you actually do crave. So while you feel very self-sufficient, it can be devastatingly painful at times to be so alone. But typically you can't access another way of being. You literally cannot stop yourself from distancing, and your nervous system won't allow that. It freaks out if you get too close. So you end up pushing partners away, ending relationships, pining after someone you can't have. And the irony here is that because you had the most unmet needs, attachment needs as a child of all the styles, you're actually the neediest of all the types. But you typically aren't in touch with that because the feelings of abandonment or the fear of rejection is hidden, right? So dating advice that we typically see is teaching women how to play hard to get, to be the cool girl who isn't ruffled by anything, who isn't needy, is not demanding. This would basically be how you would most likely be dating. And even if you got attached to someone, you would be disconnecting to protect yourself. So all this advice typically is geared toward anxious attachment women who wouldn't behave that way, but it's a problem either way because it is not creating an authentic, deep relationship. So as an avoidant person who enters a relationship, you're taking an incredible risk because you might seem like you have it all together, but underneath your exterior, you're dealing with all of these warning bells telling you that getting close to others is going to result in rejection, hurt, and loss, right? So my tips, if you're recognizing yourself here, is that it is not somebody else's job to help you open up and make you feel safe. You need to cultivate that within yourself to be emotionally available. If you're not, you'll be attracting men who mirror what you already feel inside, men that can't be trusted, men with low self-esteem, and not the kind of man that you really want. So no man can ever make you feel safe if you haven't done your inner work to already feel safe and like you can trust yourself. So you have to heal the wound that can be very hard to access to begin with, that rejection, the unmet needs, the loneliness, because you probably can't remember where it came from, but that's what's there. So you need to learn how to trust and open up and allow someone in, like really, really in. But if you won't be able to you won't have an easy time doing that by yourself, which is of course why you hire me, but everything that you will need to do is going to be going against your instinct, like what your intuition is telling you to do, even what your gut is saying to do. It's going to go against all of the things. So it's going to be really hard to actually know what to do, and almost impossible, because you won't be able to tell red flag from instinct, red flag from self-sabotage, danger from not danger, because everything feels like danger. So like I said, I sabotaged with Eric 3 times, and the only reason that this ended up happening is because of what I now take my clients through. So what can you do? So you can get in touch with what's in your love blueprint and you can rewire it. And this is what I help my clients do so that they actually get these kinds of results. This is not like therapy. Therapy is for more general sort of things in your life. It's responding to more what's current for you, whatever you bring in, but it doesn't have real specific direction or focus on exactly this. And therapy really isn't designed for this work. It's just much more general. I've heard from so many clients that they have spent years in therapy and they're either like it actually made it worse for them or it gave them awareness, but they weren't actually able to shift anything or to remove the triggers or heal the wounds to actually create transformation for themselves in their dating life, in their relationships. So this is what coaching does. This is what my coaching does. So they'll come to me and they'll say, I know what my issues are, and I don't know what to do about it, or nothing I've tried has worked, or I have awareness and I still have the same problems. And awareness is our first step, right? This is what this video is all about. That's information. But information is not transformation. There's more that needs to be done. So I've also heard, like, from other clients, like they've gone to other dating coaches or programs and they do not take this approach, which is why you still end up feeling the same afterwards. So I was just in conversation with someone who told me she had spent $4,000 on 2 months of a Tony Robbins trained relationship coach, and she had no results to speak of from it. Same issues with men, still attracted to and attracting the same kind of unavailable men, same wounds around them. And as any avoidant would say, then she said to me, well, maybe I'm just happier alone, which is just avoidant speaking, because we know that's not true. So I told her that what had happened, or why this happened, was because most coaches don't have any idea of what's at the root of these issues, and they don't have tools for that anyways. So they're all dealing with either like a behavioral or a cognitive level, but none of them are dealing with the emotional and traumatic trauma level. So you're not going to find a coach who does what I do, which works with all the levels and as fast as I do with lasting and permanent changes like what I do. So we work with your love blueprint, your whole belief system, the nervous system, the brain. They're all connected to your attachment system and what's in the love blueprint. So like how you are numbing out, how to know when you're dissociating, what to do instead, how to open walls and let them down so that you are not constantly having your protection guard always up, how to allow yourself to be co-regulated with someone, to allow them to actually in and actually see you, which is so difficult for avoidant attachment, and trust, which is really one of the core wounds that we have to heal with the avoidant attachment style. For me, that came from my earlier relationship in my 20s. So of course, the most important work that we're doing is with the parts of you that need healing and toning them down if they're overactive, like all the protection that comes up, or waking them up if they've been pushed away, like some of the more openness and softness. So we do core wound work, literally. This is what it is. You don't need to know what yours are. Like I said, if you are avoidant attachment, you probably have no idea. You can't really remember, but I help you find it. That's really my magic. That's what I help you then uncover and heal. And of course, we work with any of the relationships that happened after childhood that started to build up that love blueprint and started to shape things about it. So I wasn't able to heal my attraction to men who were basically like impossible to have a relationship with, like the one that got away, or impossible partners, or just not choosing the person in front of me, until I healed where all of that came from. And so, yes, I was in an emotionally toxic relationship that made me incredibly distrustful of men and what might happen with someone, caused all kinds of anxiety to come up when I started to like get closer to someone, and was also extremely shameful that I had gone through that situation to begin with. So doing the work around the core wound and what all the parts that kind of sabotage and create walls, my inner child, all these other things, learning how to co-regulate, healing the nervous system through that. So if you aren't creating distance, if you are creating distance, if you are running away, if you're complaining that no one is good enough, it gets easier over time with the method that I coach on. You can rewire your brain patterning and your nervous system. You can rewire your love blueprint, everything that's in there that is not working for you, which is of course what we do. So you can send me a message if you'd like to book a consult to see if you're a fit for working together. I have spots available for consults this week, which are free. The consults are free. I've got a 5-week and a 3-month coaching package, so we can discuss which option would be best for you. These consults are for women who are ready and serious about doing this work with me. So if you're one of those women, you can message me and I'll give you a link to schedule in my calendar, and we can get you started. All right. So that is everything that I have to say today about avoidant attachment. I just want to check in. Does this make sense for everyone? Are you seeing yourself in this? Are you seeing previous partners in this? I'd like to hear. Is this making sense? And are you seeing yourself? Are you seeing partners? What's coming up for you? Fernanda, yes, it makes sense to me. Yeah, awesome. Any questions about this? My partner is also avoidant. Yeah. Fernanda, are you avoidant also? Or are you anxious? Are you secure? Brianna, yes, I see myself and my ex-husband in this. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we just attract someone who's exactly like us because it's more comfortable. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Any questions, you guys, or anything else that you're noticing? Otherwise, I will sign off. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, have a beautiful rest of your night, and I will see you soon. Bye.